Genoa City has survived its share of family wars, corporate betrayals, and buried secrets, but the battle surrounding Chancellor takes a deeply personal turn when Ashley Abbott unexpectedly steps into the conflict and sides with Billy. What begins as another argument about business ownership quickly becomes something far more emotional, because Ashley no longer sees Chancellor as merely a company that Billy is desperate to control. She begins to believe that Chancellor represents something John Abbott intended Billy to have, a final gift from a father who spent much of his life trying to keep his complicated family together. For Billy, hearing Ashley say those words changes everything. He has spent years being treated as the unpredictable Abbott, the brother who makes reckless choices, the son who always seems to need another chance. Jack has forgiven him many times, but forgiveness has never erased Billy's feeling that Jack still looks at him as the younger brother who cannot be trusted with the family legacy. Now, with Chancellor at the center of a growing storm, Billy finally has someone inside the Abbott family willing to look at the situation from his point of view. The tension begins when Billy arrives determined to defend his claim to Chancellor. He is tired, frustrated, and clearly prepared for another confrontation. Jack has been questioning Billy's interpretation of John Abbott's wishes, while others in Genoa City are wondering whether Billy is allowing emotion to cloud his judgment. Billy insists that this is not simply about money or power. He believes there is a reason his father's name has become connected to the company's future, and he refuses to dismiss that connection as coincidence. Jack, however, remains cautious. He reminds Billy that John valued family unity above corporate victories and would never have wanted his children tearing each other apart over a company. Billy fires back that family unity has always seemed to mean accepting Jack's version of what is best. The accusation hits hard. Jack insists that he has spent years protecting Billy, but Billy says that is exactly the problem. He does not want to be protected anymore. He wants to be respected. Ashley walks into the middle of the argument and immediately realizes this is about much more than Chancellor. She listens quietly as Jack and Billy trade accusations. Jack argues that Billy is becoming obsessed with proving something that may not be true. Billy counters that Jack has already decided he is wrong because Jack cannot imagine John trusting Billy with something this important. That statement changes Ashley's expression. She asks Jack whether he has actually considered Billy's interpretation instead of simply looking for reasons to disprove it. Jack is surprised by the question. He tells Ashley that he is trying to prevent Billy from making a decision he will regret. Ashley responds that Billy has made plenty of mistakes, but that does not mean every instinct he has is automatically wrong. Billy is almost speechless. Ashley rarely gives him blind support, and she is not doing that now. Instead, she explains that she remembers their father differently from the way Jack is describing him. John was practical, but he was also sentimental when it came to his children. He worried about Billy more than he admitted. He knew Billy would always struggle with living in Jack's shadow, just as every Abbott child struggled in some way with expectations surrounding the family name. Ashley says John wanted each of them to find something that belonged to them, not simply inherit a piece of Jabot and spend the rest of their lives competing for control. Jack warns Ashley not to encourage Billy without proof, but Ashley refuses to back down. She says there may be more to the Chancellor situation than any of them currently understand. If there is even a possibility that John arranged something involving Billy, they owe it to their father to investigate honestly. Billy looks at Ashley and quietly asks whether she really believes John could have intended Chancellor for him. Ashley pauses before answering. She does not claim to know exactly what John planned, but she says something Billy desperately needed to hear. She believes their father saw potential in him. Those words hit Billy harder than any corporate victory could. For years, Billy has carried the weight of his failures. Every bad gamble, every impulsive decision, every broken relationship and professional disaster has reinforced the idea that he is the Abbott who cannot quite get things right. He has tried to rebuild himself again and again, but whenever he stands beside Jack, he feels as though the family history has already decided which brother represents stability and which represents chaos. Ashley's support gives him another possibility. Maybe John did not see Billy merely as a son who needed rescuing. Maybe John believed Billy would eventually become strong enough to build something of his own. Jack sees the emotional effect Ashley's words have on Billy and becomes even more concerned. He tells Billy not to turn their father into justification for whatever he wants. Billy immediately becomes defensive. He accuses Jack of doing exactly that for years. Whenever Jack makes a decision about Jabot or the Abbott family, he invokes John's principles. Yet when Billy believes John may have left something specifically for him, suddenly everyone is warned against interpreting their father's intentions. Ashley steps between the brothers before the argument gets worse. She tells Jack that Billy has a point. Jack may not realize how often he has positioned himself as the guardian of John Abbott's legacy. Jack does not do it maliciously, but Ashley says that sometimes he acts as though being the oldest son gives him the final authority on what John wanted for all of them. Jack is visibly hurt. He reminds Ashley of everything he has sacrificed for the family. Ashley tells him no one is denying that. She loves him, respects him, and knows how much Jabot means to him. But this situation is different. Chancellor is not Jabot. Billy is not asking to take Jack's company. He is trying to understand whether their father deliberately created an opportunity for him outside Jack's world. That idea stops Jack cold. Billy then reveals why Chancellor means so much to him. He says that every time he has tried to establish himself independently, someone has reminded him that he is John Abbott's son or Jack Abbott's brother. Even his successes are often measured against the Abbott name. Chancellor could finally become something different. It could be a place where Billy proves he can lead without asking Jack's permission. If John somehow understood that and tried to make it possible, Billy says he cannot walk away simply because the truth is uncomfortable for everyone else. Ashley asks Billy a difficult question. If Chancellor truly was John's gift, what would Billy do with it? Billy expects her to ask whether he would sell it, use it against Victor Newman, or turn it into another battlefield. Instead, Ashley wants to know what kind of legacy he would create. Billy thinks carefully. He says he would not want Chancellor to become a monument to his ego. He wants it to represent second chances. He knows what it feels like to be written off. He knows what it feels like to disappoint everyone and still wake up wanting another opportunity to prove them wrong. If Chancellor becomes his, Billy says he wants to build a company that reflects resilience rather than perfection. Ashley smiles slightly. That answer reminds her of John. Jack notices it too, although he does not admit it. Elsewhere, word begins spreading that Ashley has sided with Billy. In Genoa City, family disagreements rarely remain private for long. The news immediately raises questions. If Ashley believes Billy's claim has merit, perhaps there is more evidence than anyone realizes. Some wonder whether hidden documents connected to John Abbott could reshape Chancellor's ownership. Others suspect Billy is using his father's memory to strengthen a weak position. And for those with their own interest in Chancellor, Ashley's involvement makes the situation far more dangerous. Victor Newman, naturally, is among the people paying attention. Victor has watched Billy struggle for years and has never hidden his opinion that Billy Abbott is impulsive and unreliable. When Victor learns that Ashley may be supporting Billy's claim, he is amused at first. To him, this looks like another Abbott family conflict waiting to explode. But the more he hears, the less amused he becomes. If legitimate documentation exists connecting John Abbott to Chancellor and Billy, then Billy may have far more leverage than Victor expected. Victor warns that Billy is most dangerous when he believes he has something to prove. He predicts that Ashley's support will make Billy even more determined. But there is another possibility Victor considers privately. If Jack and Billy become divided badly enough, someone else could benefit from the chaos. Billy, meanwhile, begins digging deeper. Ashley's support has encouraged him, but she also makes it clear that believing him does not mean blindly accepting every claim. If Billy wants the family and the business world to take him seriously, he needs evidence. Billy agrees. He begins reviewing old records, correspondence, legal documents, and anything connected to John's financial dealings. The search becomes personal when Billy discovers references suggesting John had concerns about Billy's future long before anyone realized. One document does not provide a complete answer, but it contains language Billy cannot ignore. John apparently wanted his youngest son to have the opportunity to establish an identity beyond Jabot. Billy reads the passage repeatedly. It does not specifically hand Chancellor to him, but emotionally, it feels like a message traveling through time. Ashley watches Billy read it and sees his eyes fill with emotion. Billy tries to hide it with humor, but Ashley refuses to let him. She tells him there is nothing weak about missing their father. Billy admits that he sometimes wonders whether John would be disappointed in the man he became. Ashley immediately says John would have been disappointed by some of Billy's choices, but never by Billy himself. Their father knew the difference. Billy lowers his head, fighting tears. Ashley continues. John loved all his children, but love did not mean pretending they were perfect. He challenged Jack's pride, Ashley's stubbornness, Tracy's insecurities, and Billy's recklessness. He saw their flaws and loved them anyway. If John left Billy some kind of path toward Chancellor, Ashley believes it was not because Billy had earned perfection. It may have been because John knew Billy needed something that forced him to grow. When Jack later finds Ashley and Billy together with the documents, his concern returns. He questions whether they are reading too much into vague language. Billy immediately assumes Jack is trying to dismiss the evidence, but Ashley tells both brothers to stop fighting long enough to examine the facts. She points out that the language does establish something important. John worried about Billy finding independence. Jack finally admits that much is true. Billy asks why Jack never told him. Jack responds quietly that there were many conversations with their father that seemed insignificant at the time. John worried about all of them. Jack never imagined those conversations would someday become evidence in a battle over Chancellor. Billy says maybe that is because Jack never imagined him being capable of owning Chancellor. Jack denies it, but Billy presses harder. He asks Jack directly, "Do you think Dad believed in me?" The room goes silent. Jack's anger disappears. He tells Billy that John absolutely believed in him. Their father worried because Billy had enormous potential and often seemed determined to sabotage it. John did not fear that Billy was incapable. He feared Billy would never realize what he was capable of. Billy was not expecting that answer. For the first time, the argument becomes less about ownership and more about two brothers grieving the same father in completely different ways. Jack has spent years trying to preserve what John built. Billy has spent years wondering whether he deserved to be part of it. Ashley stands between them and realizes Chancellor may be forcing the Abbott family to confront wounds they have avoided for decades. But peace does not last long. New information emerges suggesting there may be another document connected to John's wishes, a document that could clarify whether Chancellor was actually intended for Billy or whether Billy has misunderstood everything. The possibility immediately reignites the tension. Billy wants the document found. Jack wants it authenticated before anyone draws conclusions. Ashley agrees with Jack on verification but remains firmly beside Billy when it comes to pursuing the truth. Billy tells Ashley he appreciates her support but does not want her destroying her relationship with Jack for him. Ashley says she is not choosing one brother over another. She is choosing fairness. If evidence eventually proves Billy wrong, she will tell him. But until then, she refuses to treat him as guilty simply because his past makes his claim inconvenient. That statement becomes the emotional heart of the entire conflict. Billy has spent much of his life being judged according to yesterday's mistakes. Ashley is offering him something different, the chance to be judged by what he does next. The pressure intensifies when Billy begins speaking as though Chancellor is already his future. He talks about restructuring leadership, restoring the company's identity, and protecting it from people who might use the ownership dispute for personal advantage. Ashley warns him not to get ahead of himself. Billy laughs and says confidence has never been his problem. Ashley responds that confidence is useful, but arrogance is exactly how he could lose everything. Billy promises he understands. Yet the old Billy is still there. The temptation to turn this into a victory over Jack, Victor, and everyone who doubted him is powerful. Ashley recognizes that danger. She tells Billy that if John truly intended Chancellor as a gift, then Billy has a responsibility not to turn the gift into a weapon. Billy asks what she means. Ashley says John would never have given him something important merely so Billy could humiliate his enemies. If Chancellor is Billy's, then the real test is whether Billy can protect it without becoming consumed by revenge. That warning lands harder than Billy wants to admit. Later, alone, Billy studies a photograph of John. For once there is no audience, no argument, and no one to impress. He speaks quietly as though his father might somehow hear him. Billy admits he does not know whether Chancellor was truly meant for him. He does not know whether he is chasing evidence or simply chasing the feeling that John believed he could become more than the family disappointment. Then Billy makes a promise. If this was John's gift, he will not waste it. Meanwhile, Ashley has another private conversation with Jack. She explains why she defended Billy so strongly. She believes Jack sometimes protects Billy in ways that accidentally keep Billy trapped in the role of irresponsible younger brother. Every time Jack steps in to save him, Billy feels smaller. Every time Jack doubts him, Billy becomes more desperate to prove himself. Ashley believes this Chancellor battle may finally force both brothers to break that cycle. Jack asks Ashley whether she truly thinks Billy can handle a company like Chancellor. Ashley answers carefully. She thinks Billy can handle it if Billy stops treating leadership like a fight he has to win. The question is not whether he has the intelligence. Billy has always been intelligent. The question is whether he has the discipline. Jack admits that is exactly what frightens him. Ashley says fear is not proof. Jack looks toward the door Billy recently walked through and quietly admits he may have underestimated how deeply Billy needed their father's approval. Ashley tells Jack that they all still need John's approval in different ways. That realization softens him. But before the Abbott family can find common ground, another twist threatens to change everything. Billy receives word that someone else has been searching for the missing documentation. Whoever it is may know exactly what John arranged, and may have reasons for keeping the truth hidden. Billy immediately becomes suspicious. Could someone have known about John's intentions all along? Could Chancellor's ownership history contain a secret deliberately buried for years? And if John truly intended something for Billy, who would benefit from making sure Billy never received it? Ashley urges caution, but Billy's instincts are already racing. He tells her this proves he is getting close. Ashley says it proves only that someone else is interested. Billy responds that in Genoa City, people do not start hunting old documents unless those documents matter. Ashley cannot argue with that. As the August 17th drama reaches its emotional peak, Billy stands more determined than ever. He may not have definitive proof yet, but something important has already changed. For perhaps the first time in years, he does not feel completely alone inside his own family. Ashley believes his questions deserve answers. More importantly, she believes Billy deserves the opportunity to discover what John wanted for him. Jack remains skeptical, but even his position has softened. He no longer dismisses Billy's claim outright. Instead, Jack begins wondering whether his own assumptions about their father have prevented him from seeing something that was there all along. The final confrontation between the siblings carries an unexpected calm. Billy